You doing? Good to see you. It's 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening now. It's not afternoon. Well, it's afternoon, but it's not afternoon. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How's it going? Good to see you. Welcome to the control room of my studio. If you've never been here before, this is the control room of Secret Cove Studios. I'm Brian. More than half the people that watch this stuff on my YouTube channel have no idea who I am or what I do. They just accidentally come by this. So welcome. Thank you so much. And if you're a friend, thanks for coming back and hanging out with me. We're going to hang out for about an hour, and we're going to do some cool stuff. We're going to talk about some mixing stuff. We've been spending the last week basically kind of mixing this tune. And I've been showing you different things that I do to make stuff that to make stuff sound good. No big preamble. I will tell you this though. So the whole reason we've been doing these live streams all week is that a week ago today we opened my Fader Jocks Pro site where I do all kinds of audio engineering master classes. And so the first class that I filmed for this site, Mixing Master Class number 1, Contemporary Country Song. There's so much of it out there in the world. I figured I'd show you what I do on a real world project, an actual client project, so that maybe you can get some tips and tricks and strategies that you can use to get your mixes sounding better in this particular style. So yeah, just go to faderjockspro.com, and today this is the last day we're going to have the promo code. If you use the promo code LAUNCH25, it's right there in the bottom of the screen there. If you use the LAUNCH25 promo code, you'll get 25% off. And so that'll put the whole masterclass under $30. It's more than 4 hours worth of training. If you were to sit with me for 4 hours and I were to take you through all of this and explain all the stuff that I do when I'm mixing a tune like that, like the one in the masterclass, it costs you over $400. Heck, if you wanted to have one of your own mixes, have me work on and show you what I would do with it, and we sat here for over 4 hours, it would cost you a lot more than $400. So anyway, so you can sit with me, and much like this kind of format, where I'm showing you what I'm doing track by track, plug-in by plug-in, move by move. And yeah, the difference between the stuff that you'll get at faderjockspro.com and a lot of mixing courses or engineering courses, or especially YouTube, is these are real-world client projects that I'm taking you through. Things that actually see the light of day. Mixes that people pay for, or for some of the other projects that we're going to do with mastering and recording and all that kind of stuff. These are real-world projects with real-world clients. So these are strategies and techniques and things that that work in the professional workplace. Not theories, not my own personal opinion that I hope works. These are things that are time-tested for more than 25 years. Tips, tricks, strategies, things that you need to know. And also, hopefully, like you saw yesterday, how to listen to things, what to listen for, and how to make the right kind of adjustments for the intention that you have with your mix. So anyway, I've sold enough, I think. We've been working for the past week over these different live streams on this tune. This was a tune we recorded almost 25 years ago at this point, 24 years ago. This was a artist by the name of Hannibal Jones. We did this record back in the early 2000s. 1999, 2000-ish. So I dug this one out of the mothballs, and I wanted to see if I could beat my mix from before. So far, I think we're doing a pretty good job. Let's listen to just a little piece of this. We'll listen to a little bit of a verse and a chorus, and you can kind of hear where we're at this point. That's the chorus. Cool. So that is where we're at so far. So basically, we have the entire rhythm section in at this point. Drums, bass, both electric guitar parts, both the regular rhythm part and then that little hooky thing that comes in on the choruses, and the organ. The only thing that we're going to add now to spice things up and to really give this thing a little more locomotion, and in one case, I think a little bit of a hook, kind of. We're going to go in and we're going to add the percussion. We didn't do percussion at all last time, so let's go over to my screen a second. Hey, what's going on, Lex? Good to see you, buddy. It's been forever, dude. I saw you moved into a new place. I hope everything's going well with you. I should probably look there instead of looking at your comment over there. I hope everything's going well with you. And we got to hook up sometime, man. It's been way too long. Let's see. So let's bring the thing in that's the most prevalent at this point real quick, which is this shaker. Now, I'm going to double check. I think we got plenty of headroom on this thing. Yeah, we got plenty of headroom. I'm going to go ahead just for continuity, and since we've got enough headroom on the Universal Audio satellite processor there, I'm going to bring over our tape. And didn't mean to do that. That's supposed to copy. All right, there we go. We're gonna put some tape on this shaker for a second. I am gonna change what channel strip I'm using, I think, though. But let's take a listen for a second. We'll bring these in one at a time. I probably could do this on my control surface a little quicker. All right. So we've got that shaker. Already getting a little bit of love from hitting it with the tape pretty hard. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to hit this with a different channel strip. We've been using the, well, you know what? No, I'm not. We're just going to go ahead and use the same channel strip we've been using. That was one of the things I talked about last time was using things to give your mix continuity. So why not? We got plenty of headroom on this computer. And I'm not going to be using many of the modules anyway. So we're going to, should be under O, right? Oh, Shep's Omni-channel right there. All right, so here's the Shep's Omni-channel. We're already getting a little bit of harmonic. Been a while. Oh yeah, if I'm definitely up in Athens, man, I'm definitely gonna give you a shout. Don't worry, we'll grab some coffee or something. So one of the things that you're gonna hear when I kick this saturation, this preamp saturation in, and if I go too far, you hear what it sounds like, eggs frying. But if I just put a little bit of that in, it starts to round off that hard edge. We are going to use this high pass filter. For this shaker, I'm going to go up pretty high, just to make sure there's nothing up underneath there that's going to be a problem. I'm going to do a couple things too. Let's go back to that shaker a second. I'm not going to add any high mid to it, but for me, at least in these headphones as I'm listening to it, there's some stuff up in the high mid that's a little harsh. So I'm going to grab the parametric on this EQ, and we're going to pull a little of the harshness out. We're going to see if we can smooth it out a little bit. There we go. All of a sudden, it's a little more pleasing to listen to. Now, let you hear what I'm pulling out of this. Right there, 4K. So I'm going to pull that out. See you later, Lex. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. We'll have to catch a movie sometime. All right. So now, there you go. And I am going to put a little bit of compression on this. We'll start with this, the VCA compressor. Because I think it's going to give me, it may give me what I'm looking for. So what I'm doing with this is I'm kind of knocking down the highest part of the rhythm, the quarter note. I'm knocking it down just a little bit so that it's a little more of an even eighth note. It's going to give it a little bit more locomotion. If it's a little too heavy, again, this is just a personal preference. If it's a little too heavy on the quarter note, it tends to make it plod a little bit. I want something that kind of moves this forward. The shaker should have a more locomotive feel. So if I can knock down the quarter note, when it was played, it had a little bit of a quarter note accent. If I can knock that down a little bit, I can even this eighth note out, and it'll give it a little more of a locomotive kind of vibe to it. And you'll notice I'm putting it away from the hi-hat. Pretty loud in the mix right now, but we're gonna back it off. Kind of blend it in with the hi-hat, so it's a nice complement. And it also doesn't get in the way of the attack of that guitar that's on the left side too. That's one thing I'm trying to make sure of with this shaker. Now I'm gonna do one extra thing. Let's see. I'm gonna need EQ. So to kind of lift this thing up in the mix, and this is perception. Where are you? All right. So I'm going to pull out Plug-in Alliance makes this Moog EQ2. They make an EQ4 and EQ2 and has this great little air band. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try it at 20K. I'm going to push this for me, and I'll rebalance it a little bit because it is going to make it a little louder since we're kicking a lot of high end. Go up to 40. You got a little the curve kind of brought back some of that harshness I didn't like. All right, so what is this doing for me that it's so special and it's such a tip or a trick? When I use this Moog EQ at that 20 or 40K, and I crank on it pretty hard, like you're not gonna hear 40K. There's none of us that can hear 40K. But with the slope of that curve, if we were to put it into some kind of RTA so you could see what that thing's doing, with the slope of that curve, what it's doing is it's lifting up some bands in that instrument's frequency range. That for me, at least when I'm looking at the mix, it feels like without it, the guitar and the shaker are on the same plane. So they're both kind of sitting here. The moment that I take that EQ at that frequency range, either 20 or 40, every track that I do this with is different. I'm going for that feeling. I know it when I get the feeling. It takes them from being right here together to just raising that thing up sonically. It's like all of a sudden now I have two different levels of my mix. It pushes it up a little bit into the corners of my mix, so that I actually have this feeling as I'm listening to my mix that shaker's actually higher in not volume, but the soundscape of the mix. Something about pushing that thing up moves it up so that now the guitar sits under it sonically. And then the bass is nice and spread out underneath that. So we get these layers top to bottom of the mix that give the mix a height. And so that's sort of, if there's a secret trick for me, and it's one of those subtle things that it's more felt than heard. The other thing that I'm going to do that's going to help to give this even more lift is let's put one more reverb track in here. Well, we're going to have more than one more reverb track. I'm not going to put it in the room verb. That's my point. I'm not going to put it in the room verb with those rhythm section instruments. I'm actually going to make a completely different verb just for the percussion. So they sort of have their own world they live in. Output bus, we're going to put this into the mix bus, and then we're going to input this into 7/8. All right. So it's really a matter of, well, which plate am I going to use? Since we're going for a classic kind of vibe, and I don't know if this is the one I'm going to keep, but why not try the Abbey Road plate? Why not? It's a very classic sounding vibe. Let's see. Percussion. Let's see what their percussion stuff sounds like. We'll go with a preset. I don't always go with presets, but especially in this case, I want to try and use some stuff that you have access to, something that you could very easily just pull up and see what you could do with. So what we're going to do, yep, we're 100% wet already. There's no pre-delay on this. You may see we play around with that pre-delay a little bit. But let's send that shaker over to this perc verb or plate verb. Real quick, we'll solo it because I want you to hear what we're doing here. So let's push that in and see what that sounds like. Let's just do a loop of this. Oh, probably helps that. All right. So that is the very first preset. Let's see what the other one sounds like. That's got like a little more mid-rangey thing happening in it. I'm not totally happy with that. Let's go with some drum moves. Kind of a variation on a theme there, isn't it? All right, so let's that's too splashy. Better. So I'm just kind of keep an eye on that pre-delay though. You hear that pre-delay is pretty late, but if we use the wrong thing, it's just going to sound bad. All right, so none of these are really knocking me out. Let me pull it back and let me just see if it's the fact that it's really loud. Yeah. That I like a lot better. So this is actually, we would use this on a piano. The reason I like this is it's a lot shorter. And it's not adding too much in the high end. Just gives something over on the other side to kind of bounce off of it a little bit. Let's put that in the mix and see what that sounds like. So without it, see how all of a sudden it kind of adds to the interaction on the other side. Hey JR, good to see you, buddy. Cool. So now it gives us a little bit of something left to right. We don't just have a shaker stuck over there. It actually helps to makes it interact a little bit with this hi-hat that's on the other side. All right. So we got enough horsepower. Let's bring this wood block in. And I just copied it over what I did here, and the compressor is definitely kind of, there we go. Compressor was a little too much. It was knocking off the attack. Now I'm going to use this compressor to round off that attack. Let's put it in a chorus real quick. I want you to hear. So what I'm using here is I'm kind of softening the attack of the wood block there with this compressor. It's a little more pointed sounding. I'm gonna go real fast attack. There we go. And I'm taking advantage. I pulled some of that harshness in 4K out. That helps soften it up too. I'm not going to go quite as much with it though. Cool. Now I'm going to look and see if this will do the same thing with this wood block. Nah, doesn't really have the same effect with the wood block. If anything, it kind of brings back some of the stuff I want to get rid of to just put it back in the mix. All right, cool. All right, so now we're just blocking and copying some stuff. We'll just pull this in for our tambourine. Oh, let's put that percussion in. And see, that is a little bit much on that verb. So instead of turning the verb down, I'm going to turn the send down. So I get the benefit of the plate verb. Which lets us talk about something. So, so I've got the send on the shaker here at Unity, right? That sort of sets my baseline for how much I want to excite that reverb with one of the more important instruments for this percussion section. And what I've done by the amount that I'm sending, the amount I'm exciting the verb, and then the relationship of the dry channel and how much I have the verb in the mix, sort of established where I am in the room or in that space with that particular instrument. So now when I bring the wood block in, especially because it's on the same side, it's not quite all the way out to the left, but it's a little left of center. When I drop this send over here for the verb on the wood block, the wood block's gonna excite the verb a lot less, and the result is gonna be that the wood block is gonna feel closer to me. I'm gonna hear more direct signal than affected signal, reverb. The proportions of that, I'm going to hear more of the dry signal, less of the verb than I do in relationship to the shaker. The shaker, the balance is going to be more of the verb in comparison to the dry. So all of a sudden what it does, we're talking about front to back, right? The front to back depth that we can get in a mix. It makes it feel like the wood block is closer to me because I hear the wood, it's still... I get the feeling that it's exciting the verb, but since it's closer to me and I don't hear as much of it. Well, since I don't hear as much of I hear more of. I don't want to choose my words on this. I hear more of the dry sound, less of the affected sound. It's as if I've pulled it closer to me, so that I'm hearing more of that. compared to the you get what I'm trying to say. If I were trying to teach you this, I would probably pick my words better. Anyway, so yeah. So the idea is I'm trying to push the wood block forward. I'm trying to put the shaker sitting back a little bit in relationship to each other. All right, so now we've got a little tambourine loop thing going on here that we're just going to listen to it dry to start with. That kind of fits in the holes in that hook, right? I am going to try that same trick with this. And now let's see what happens if we bring in a little bit. And we'll just tuck it in a little bit. Tambourine loop. This is one of those little subtle pieces of ear candy that's just kind of meant to give it a little bit more forward motion. So I don't want to call a ton of attention to itself. I feel like though, nope, that's not the right one. I want this one. So I'm using a compressor to kind of manage the highest of the strikes in the loop. That one. The compressor's managing the volume on that one, really. I'm going to crank that down a little bit. There we go. So it gives a little bit of attack. Now you hear though that it's not doing anything in that 4K, right? I'm gonna move it up to a little past 5. I don't want to be too sizzly up there. I could have put a de-esser on it probably. Cool. What else do we have? Oh! Dadgum, I almost forgot. This is important. This güiro. I'm gonna have to move that tambourine loop now. See how hard we're hitting that. So you see we're really getting into the tape there with this güiro. Ease up on this compression a little bit. I'm actually going to push that up a little bit. That part of the sound sounds obnoxious right there. I'm gonna help it poke through a little bit by just pushing that frequency range up just a little bit. And I'm gonna take kind of a similar so with too much sets it back a little bit too much. I want to keep it up closer to me. So yeah, let's push that gonna move that tambourine loop in a little closer to the center now. What's going on, Carl? Thanks for hanging out, bud. It's like a full-on percussion assault at this point, right? Now I may pull the whole thing back once I get it in there. That's one of the advantages of putting that into a routing folder is if I just want to tuck it back in all together, I can just grab one fader. I'm just grabbing this this fader you see right here. Pop it over here and let you see it from this view. So I've got all of the percussion going into this percussion folder. In fact, instead of sending that, I'm going to put the verb going through the same thing. So if I bring it all up and down, it'll all kind of come up and down together, right? So let's put this in our perk. Cool. All right, so now the verb will come up and down as I bring everything up and down. Is what I'm listening for right now. All right. So now let's go over to, just take it out on the outro since it's a longer section. Man, I appreciate you watching, Carl. Hope you're getting something out of it. So yeah, so the last thing we got here, and I'm just for the sake of continuity and time. I mean, this is one of the ways I can speed up a mix. I'm already using that. We got the tambourine loop. Let's use the settings from tambourine loop. We're going to look at this tambourine loop at the end. Now, I already have the shaker all the way over on this side. I'm actually going to keep this thing closer to the center. That trick that we use to kind of lift it up, kind of get it up here, and then let's use the shaker's reverb send, same amount, so we can kind of push it back a little bit. Cool. Man, you can't have enough percussion. There just isn't enough percussion. Now listen what happens when the tambourine comes in. So I'm going to start this at the beginning of that last chorus. And then I want you to hear what happens when the tambourine comes in now. Because, man, we got percussion for days now. But listen to the lift that we get into this outro section. It's called the woo-woo section. You'll know why when you hear the voice come in. But listen what the tambourine does. And now, because of that Moog EQ, it kind of sits over everything else, not right in everything else. Here it comes. Now we just have to balance it out. So it's all about the right amount of flavor. You know, you can oversalt this thing easily because there's a lot of folks moving in rhythm together here. Right now, most of my rhythmic movement is kind of out in the edges, right? Now I want to put some rhythmic movement and locomotion in the middle. So by the time we hit the woo-woos, right, I'm just making a few tweaks to some stuff that we did before. Now we got this other stuff in there. Change the harmonics I'm using on that saturation. And all right, so yeah, now we got something happening here. Now one other thing that I can do, and I probably want to do here is, see where everything is. So one thing I am going to do that keeps this mix from being totally static, and it's going to clear out a little bit of volume, or a little bit of headroom. It's going to clear out a little bit sonically for you is when that tambourine comes in the last time, let's just pull it down, pull the shaker down just a little bit. We got a lot of movement happening. I'm going to pull it down there, and it's not in the bridge, so I don't have to worry about it in the bridge. But I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. Maybe that's going to clear a little room. Because remember, I'm exciting the verb a little bit, so a little of that tambourine is coming in on the other side, near where the shaker is. And so if I pull those things down together, maybe they'll kind of melt into each other a little bit more. Cool. Yeah, just a little nip and tuck. Didn't have to do it, but it certainly does. It keeps it from me when I add that tambourine in, especially the way it kind of smears over to the side with some of the verb. When I get that little smearing from the tambourine and the shaker over on the right side, it tends to cover up all that stuff together in the aggregate. Covers up the attack of that rhythm guitar a little bit. If I just back off of the shaker, I don't lose the attack on the rhythm guitar. So there we go. That's the music part of this. And once we get in some of the vocals, I may rebalance a few things. I just, at least in these headphones, and remember, I don't normally mix in headphones. But for this mix, one of the things that I've been trying is, if you've watched any of the other live streams, is I'm trying this Waves Abbey Road Studio 3 plugin using these Biodynamic 770s. Now, they don't have an EQ curve for the 770, but the 880 is pretty close. And so one of the advantages of using this plugin, especially if you don't have a good mix room, and I got a good mix room here, I really can tell what's happening in my mix in this room, both in terms of the frequency balance, left to right, front to back, up to top to bottom, all that stuff. But one of the advantages, I would guess, of having this plugin is that you can audition different speaker sets. So as we're playing this, I can kind of go in. Right now, I've been mixing totally in the near fields, but I can go to the mid fields and the far field monitors, and just get a sense of what this thing might do in different speakers. So we got the near fields. Here's the mids. You definitely hear that room a little bit more. Interesting, the tambourine does a little something that may actually make me... I may pull that just a little bit and pull this a little bit more. So let's go back to the hear it how it kind of closes up a little bit, tightens up. Cool. All right, yeah, just a couple of nips and tucks, just going into those different speaker sets. Those are nips and tucks that I think will make things better. So let's get over to this vocal. So now the vocal that I have here is I've got a lead vocal, and I've got a double that pretty much doubles for the entire song. And then in the choruses, every other line, I've got a third part or a second double. I sneeze a second. Hang on. I'm going to do something that I did not do in this original mix. I was thinking about this when I was thinking about this mix and what would I do to this. Anytime you're mixing, you always have somebody to answer to. And in this case, it's the client. It's, when I put a mix together, if I make decisions artistically that a client doesn't like, then we have to unmake those decisions a lot of times. There's a decision that I was thinking that I really wish I would have made originally. And maybe we talked about this and we didn't do it for some reason. But I don't have a traditional kind of background vocal part. I don't think for me there, Pro Tools. Let's see. I wanted to. It's thinking for me again. Somebody knows how to turn that off. Tell me how to turn that off. Pro Tools likes to think for you. Sometimes when I will block a region like that to make an edit, it'll change where the edit is. I don't know why it started doing that. The one thing I want to check as I do this, let's listen to this vocal a second. Oh, how about you didn't send it to your mix bus, Brian? 'Cause it loves you. I just want to make sure. Yes, I need you. It's not going to pop. Yes, it loves you. Yeah, we had already baked in all the edits on this, so I didn't think it would. Let's go ahead and try and color that the same color as these background vocals. All right, so now this is going to change from being a double vocal. I'm going to call this a BGV vocal now, because here's what we're going to do with this. We're going to do like a call and response thing in the verse. It's just going to make it more interesting. I think originally in this mix, we just used the double to make those lines punch a little bit more. What I want to do is I want to make it almost a call and response so that those lines are wider, and we'll keep the lead vocal in there for now. But I want like ba-da-da-da to be wide, like a background, like it's got a background vocal with it, and then the response line is just dead in the center all by itself, maybe with a little double tucked up underneath it, and then it goes back out and it comes in, it goes back out, it comes back in. That's more interesting to listen to. That's why we do background vocals, because they make songs more interesting to listen to. So real quick, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to do that same move. See, there it is, thinking for me again, putting it on the bar line. If you know how to change that, tell me how to change that. Just started doing that one day. And it doesn't always do it. That's the weird thing. It doesn't do it every time. Just every once in a while, Pro Tools says, I think you wanted to go to the bar line there, Brian. And that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. See how... don't do that. All right, cool. Again, I'm just going to check it. No problem. Yes, I need you. All good there. Yes, I love you. Last one. What you gonna do? That does get clipped off. We clipped that one off because it was long. Let's go to the last one. Same thing. Now, I may change it on that last line. Oh. Thinking for me again. Don't do that. You see what it's doing, right? I don't know why I just decided to start doing that one day. It never did that before. It just started doing it. I don't have a double there, so I'm going to leave this in the middle. All right, and then, yeah, and then from here, now that we've made this change, on the woo-woo section, let's see, on the woo-woo section, what you gonna do? kind of wish we would have put a harmony there. Shoot, just move all of it. So we're going to move all of it, starting at that point. So that the woo-woos are just all wide at that point. So now we've got a different scenario here. We don't just have a double. We don't have a lead vocal sitting in the middle with a double sitting in the middle with a third double or a second double. Yeah, second double sitting in the middle like we did in the original mix. This is going to kind of expand and contract. I think it's going to be more interesting. And then by the time we get to the woo-woo section, it'll be more like a gang vocal. So the whole thing, we've got the middle nice and loud, and then we've got the backgrounds on either side that are nice and loud. So it's almost like a gang vocal at that point. All right, so we'll copy and block and copy a couple of things. We're going to block and copy this Studer A800, and I'm going to eyeball this real quick. How are we doing on our meter? Where are you at, meter? There it is. Oh, good. We're still only 26%. They've made that tape plugin a lot more efficient on the processing for UAD. I appreciate that. Let's see. So we're going to use that, and I'm going to start with just a blank one. If you got any questions at any point, you're more than welcome to put them in the comments. I can see them over there. So we're going to use the exact same channel strip. Now, sometimes I will use two different channel strips on a mix, but I'll do it in groups. Like maybe I'll treat the vocals with a completely different channel strip than I did for the entire rest of the mix, so that it just naturally kind of stands out because of the sonic quality of that channel strip. In this case, I'm just going to use the same channel strip for everything. So it's almost like we just use the same console for everything. Everything will have a real cohesive feel to it by the time we're done. So, all right, let's take a look at this lead vocal for a second. Let's put it in play. And right now, we're just using, we're going to start with a completely flat channel strip with Sheps. And then I'm going to add things in as we go. So the first thing I want to do before you even bring Sheps into this is I want to check my tape plug-in. How hard am I going to drive this with this vocal?
He's a regular guy.
Ooh, he's 6 up. Let's bring him down.
Sort of way.
I don't know how you got 6 up there.
Likes it all just right. He's meticulous to play. Comes out late at night.
All right.
Said he liked the view.
I might not need to drive the output on that.
Just wanna talk to you.
All right.
'Cause he loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, I need you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, he loves you.
So I like driving the tape kind of hard, but I'm going to come back on that output. And I'm losing some volume, but we're going to make it up. Don't worry. I'll push it up just so you can hear it a little bit better while I'm doing this. So yeah, we're going to use a little bit of saturation. All right. So immediately,
what you gonna do? You can run if you want to, baby.
There's my scroll. There
But
we go.
his eyes on you.
All right, so we're gonna use our 1176
You can run if you want
Bluey.
to, baby. What you gonna do?
I'm gonna dial the output back a second.
Yes, I need you.
Can you hear? Can you hear how this just makes the whole thing more interesting? I tried to level match it. So we'll go back.
He's a regular guy in a twisted twisted sort of way.
I'll turn the compressor on.
Likes it all just right. He's meticulous in play.
It already,
Comes out late at night.
because you hear all of it,
Said he liked
it makes it a little more present and intimate in your
you to
face.
put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you, 'cause he loves you in a very kinky way.
There's something
Yes, he
about that
needs you.
Bluey 1176 just makes it more interesting.
Yes, he loves you, and it's just the price you pay.
That's without it.
What you gonna do?
With it, it just sounds more interesting.
He's a regular guy
All right.
from his mother's point of view. Likes it all just right.
Let's hit
I was
the,
thinking about you.
make sure we hit the high pass on this.
He
Not too high.
likes his coffee
Now,
with milk, not cream.
I want to be careful though in the mid-range.
Better get ready.
In this 4K mid-range.
You'll know what I mean. 'Cause he loves you.
Especially because I'm adding so
Very
much.
kinky way. Yes, I need you.
So I'm going to scale that back just a little bit.
Gonna have to play. Yes, he loves you.
Let's open the top end up on it a little bit. Let's go up to about
What you
10K.
gonna do? You can run if you want to, baby. But his eyes
Yeah, it
on
makes it
you.
jump out. All of a sudden it's there, you know?
You can run if you want to, baby.
We talked about this in one of the other videos. You have a choice when you add compression. You can put a compressor on that just does the job of the compression. It just manages the highs and the lows, the loud stuff and the soft stuff. It reins that whole dynamic range in. It allows you to kind of make it all in a much narrower dynamic range so that everything is kind of heard at a more even volume. And then you can kind of place it so that it's more consistent. I mean, that's what a compressor does on the surface. On the surface, that's what a compressor does. And so you can pick just a very transparent, very utilitarian compressor to do that job. Or you can pick a compressor that adds character to the now will it have a jumping out effect, sort of, kind of, just using a real pedestrian kind of compressor, but that's only because it's just more intelligible all the time. It doesn't drop out as much, it doesn't stick out as much. It all kind of sits in one place and you place it there and it's always there. But there's something about those 1176 compressors or any of that style. It does something in the high mid-range that just makes it push through. It makes it more interesting to listen to. It just makes it more exciting. And so that's why I reach for that one. Every time I reach for it, anytime I need excitement, that's what I reach for. I'm like, it just needs something. And I'll do that. And I'll just pull that one out. And it could be any variety of it. Right now we're using the Waves one, but the Universal Audio will do the same thing. That purple 77 or whatever does the same thing. Plug-in Alliance makes one. It's purple. It does the same kind of thing. They all have a different sheen to them, but the effect is the same. If S's get too loud, we're going to kick the de-esser in. We're going to put one more level of compression on this thing to mainly manage the choruses, and then we're going to de-ess afterwards. And we may do two different levels of de-essing for two different frequency ranges. So let's see. Let's go ahead and let's get to that. So initially, my feel for this is I'm going to use another level of compression on this vocal, and I don't want it to touch much in the verses. If something disappears, I may automate it up, but I don't really want it to touch much in the verses. But when he really leans into it and it really gets a little, it punches through a little bit too much volume-wise, then that's what I'm going to use this compressor for. And I'm going to use an opto compressor. I want something that's a little bit slower. The great thing about this Waves Sheps Omni-Channel opto compressor is I do have an attack control. If I had a regular LA2A I was doing this with, then I don't have any real attack control. It's going to be slow. This, I can get the same kind of effect. If I need it to kick in a little quicker, I can hit the attack on this and it'll kick in quicker. So let's circle the block here on this chorus. So I'm just going to circle the block. All right. 3 to 1. I always start 3 to 1. I don't know why.
Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do? 'Cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, I need you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you.
You can see by the meters, and if you listen to it.
What you gonna do? 'Cause it loves you.
See, now the drummer in me is, let's put this on grid and let's actually do the whole section.
'Cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, I need you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do? 'Cause it loves
There we go.
you.
We're just going to repeat that section.
Kinky way. Yes, I need you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay.
Now, the only thing I don't, at least I'm not getting in the phones, is it could have a little more weight to it.
In a very kinky way. Yes, I need you.
So I am going to kick in my
Yes, it
lows.
loves you, and it's just the price you pay.
I'm going to add back
What you gonna do?
120, 110.
In a very kinky
There we
way.
go.
Yes, I need you.
All of a sudden now it's just got a little more weight to it.
Yes, loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do? 'Cause it loves you
Here's without it.
in a very kinky way. Yes, I need you,
Here's with it.
and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you.
Go about 2.5
and it's
dB.
just the price you pay.
So just a little bit of that bump in the lows. All of a sudden, and this is just the quality of the guy's voice, especially when he leans in, it loses some of the chestier, kind of weightier thing. It makes it sound thin. Let's see if let's make sure it doesn't tub up the verses. Hang on.
He's a regular guy
I may have to automate that.
in a twisted sort of way.
Now all of a sudden, at least in these
Likes it all
headphones,
just right. He's meticulous to play.
I'm hearing something in that.
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
That takes care of it.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. 'Cause it loves you
That's better.
in a very kinky way. Yes, I need you.
Yeah, when I started pulling around on
Gonna
that
have to play. Yes, it loves you.
lower end in the verses, it gave me something I didn't like.
He's a regular guy
That's all right. I can deal with that.
in a twisted sort of way.
Cool. So let's copy both of those, and I'm going to treat both of those exactly the same for the double. We're just going to lace this double in just up underneath it, and if anything, I may accentuate that low end a little bit more.
He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way.
Now I can kind of bring it all and set it in the mix
Likes
a little
it
bit
all
more.
just right. He's meticulous to play. Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view. You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. 'Cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, I need you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you.
All right, so now that we're at this point, we got the vocal sitting in there, we got the double in there, we got to do some treatment on this thing. Right now, it's very on the nose. It's right there in the middle. It's very flat. There's not a lot happening. So I'm going to make a couple of stereo oxes. 1, 2. Actually, let's do 3. 3 stereo oxes. And let's color those the correct color. There we go. All right, so we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna do an ADT lead. We're gonna do an ADT background, and then we're gonna do a voc verb. All right. So let's make sure that all of those are going into our mix bus. And then we're going to make sure we got a bus for one of these. 9, 10, 11, 12. Nope. Bus. 13, 14. Cool. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to see if I can add some width to this, this vocal. So what am I going to do to get some width? I absolutely dig... Where are you? Oh, I passed it. ADT 2V. All right. So, well, again, I'm gonna show you what I'll do with a good preset. So we're gonna take. There's a good ADT stereo and a strong stereo. Let's take good ADT stereo. So one thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that preset, but I'm gonna mute the source. And then I'm going to pan each of these repeats, these slight delays. I'm going to, variable delays. I'm going to pan them left and right. So if I just roll that in to ADT lead, you get to hear what this will do. Let's just listen to the verse. We'll titrate it kind of with the verse. And then see how it needs to happen in the chorus.
He's a regular guy.
So automatically I get some width out of that.
Sort of way.
Now I have to be careful though,
Likes it all just right.
because now it sounds kind of affected.
Meticulous play.
If anything, it can be a little phasey.
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
So let's do a couple things.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy.
I'm just going to take your garden variety EQ. I'm just going to use... Normally I might
Likes it all
try and
just
use
right.
something a little bit more vibey,
Meticulous play.
but
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
just a kind of a cover your butt thing, I always put this on.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy.
So I'm going to make these
In a
moves
twisted sort of way.
pretty obvious so you can hear where I'm
Likes it
going
all
with this.
just right.
So let's take that frequency range,
Meticulous play.
narrow it up.
Comes out late at night.
Let's go up a little bit.
Said he liked the view. You don't put up a fight.
So I'm going to smooth that out.
Just wanna talk to you.
So I'm dipping that mid-range out and then maybe open the Q up on
In
it.
a twisted sort of way.
The other place where it gets a little
Likes
weird,
it all just right. He's meticulous to play.
is around here.
Comes out late at night.
Somewhere in that 1 to 2.
Said he liked the view.
There it is. There's a resonance in that 1 to 2.
You don't put up a fight.
If I get rid of that resonance, I mean really dump that resonance,
He's a regular guy.
I can hide what I'm doing a little bit more.
In a twisted sort of way.
And then,
Likes it all just right.
you know, I still hadn't put any de-essing on this.
He's meticulous to play.
Before I de-ess that
Comes
lead
out late
vocal,
at night.
I'm going to go ahead and put a de-esser on this one,
The view.
because I don't want these doubles to add any extra essing.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy.
They'll help hide it even more.
In a twisted sort of way.
And I'll hit it hard.
Likes it all just right. He's meticulous to play. Comes out late at night.
Cool.
Said he liked the
All right, so now we can go back
you don't put up
and
a fight.
we can put this de-esser in.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy. In a twisted sort of way.
I'm gonna pull this over though. Let's put it after the compression.
All
All
just right.
right.
He's meticulous.
You want to hear where we're at? So about 6.5. 6.5. Let's put that back in.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way. Likes it all just right. He's meticulous to play.
Cool.
Comes out late at
What was that? That
night.
was 63.57.
Like the view.
Let's do the same thing over here.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a
Matter of fact, I may go up just a
regular
little
guy
higher.
in a twisted sort of way. Likes it all just right. He's meticulous to play.
Cool.
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
Cool. I may hit. Usually, I'll hit the
You don't put
the
up
double
a
vocal a little
fight.
harder on the de-esser.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted
now-
sort of way.
Now I'm gonna pull that.
Likes it all just right. He's meticulous to play.
All right. So without it,
Comes out late at night.
here I just kind of is on the nose. It's right in the middle.
Like the view.
Now it's got a little more width.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy
Doesn't lose any of the presence.
in a twisted sort of way. Likes it all just right.
And I can try and see if it goes overboard too much by putting the double in there.
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
So yeah, I don't like sending the double into it. I'm not gonna send the double to it because all of a sudden then it makes it super obvious what I'm doing.
Regular guy.
So what's really kind of happening now is I'm putting that into the ADT and I've got it panned out to the sides. I could probably even narrow it in if I wanted to. Right now I like where it's sitting all the way out wide like that. But what's happening now is now you got the ADT on either side and the double in the middle. So there's actually 3 different little vocals happening underneath it, and it gives it width and weight all of a sudden. Now it's not just this one little tiny voice that's right in the middle of the mix. It's just right on the nose. Now it still has all the presence. It still has all of that you want in the center of the image. But now it just kind of widens out, and it feels like it's got more width to it without hearing the width. Like it's more the feeling than it is. It doesn't call attention to itself. That's my point. It's not calling attention to itself. So now, vocal verb. What are we going to do about some verb, man? Spaces. The real theme of all these acoustic instruments has been the spaces. So I'm going to try to bring in, y'all know I love this one. Where are you at? I just had brain fart. It tells me it's time to eat. I haven't eaten since about 10 o'clock this morning. Eventide. There it is. If you don't have this T verb, you ought to get it because it's pretty dang awesome. So we're going to put the T verb in there. Most people know this for as the David Bowie Heroes effect. In fact, I'll even just load that up. Come on. Mr. Visconti, Heroes. They have it as an insert effect, but I'm putting it on a bus. All right, so we'll start with this. The thing that I like about this, again, it's just another acoustic space. What I like about this is I can manipulate these microphones to kind of get around the space and give me the quality that I'm looking for. The other thing that's nice is they've got some gating that's kind of built in to these microphones, so you can control how much this stuff jumps out. And then there's some room resonance control that helps. Anyway, it's just a really cool Verb plugin. Let's send the lead vocal to it. And at first it's probably going to be too much, but that's okay. We'll hear what the Verb's doing, and then we'll set it back a little bit after we make some adjustments. So, yeah, we're going to listen in the verse, and it's going to be way overkill in the verse, but we'll fix that.
He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way. Likes it all just right. He's meticulous at play.
Actually, it's kind of...
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
So one of the things we got to do...
You don't put up a fight. Just want to talk to you.
So the close mic, I'm going to kind of dial that back. Dial
In
in.
a twisted sort of way. Likes it all just right.
See how it opens up the space now.
Meticulous at play.
We're hearing some of those further away mics.
Comes out late at night.
Move them around a little bit.
Said he liked the view. You don't put up a fight. Just want to talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way. Likes it all just right.
You don't have to use the gates
Meticulous at play.
if you want to hear the tail.
Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
Maybe do it on one and not the other.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way.
I like it.
Likes it all just right.
Let's just bring it back a little bit.
He's meticulous at play. Comes out late at night. Said he liked the view.
Dial it down a little bit.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way.
So it's not an obvious.
Likes it all just
And again,
right.
I might use a vibier EQ for this, but we'll just use your regular old garden variety
Comes out late at night.
Pro Tools. All right, so there's a couple things I want to dump out of this that I'm not liking.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way.
That kind of hollowness right there.
Likes it all just right.
That's nice.
He's meticulous at play. Comes out late at night. Said he liked the
Now all of a sudden I can kind of bring the double down.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy
Something else in
in a
that, like
twisted sort of way.
700-800.
Likes it all just right.
Just narrow it up and find it.
He's meticulous at play. Comes out late at night.
Something kind of nasally there.
Said he liked the view.
So I'm going to dump that.
You don't put up a fight.
There you go.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted sort of way.
All right, so now all of a sudden,
Likes it all just right. He's meticulous at play. Comes out late at night.
I don't think this mic
Said he
one.
liked the view.
Pull it down anymore.
You don't put up a fight. Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy.
So I hear just a little bit of the tail.
Likes it all just right. He's meticulous at play. Comes out late at night.
So I am going to put that double
Said he
into there.
liked the view.
That'll excite it a little bit more.
You don't put up a fight.
Maybe not excited as much.
Just wanna talk to you. He's a regular guy in a twisted twisted sort of way.
Cool. All right. So let's block and copy all this stuff here into my background vocals. So we got these guys here. That same ADT stuff that I'm doing, we're gonna use all that same stuff, and I'm using a separate ADT for the background vocals. Now I am gonna narrow this up just a little bit. Let's go 85 on each side. We're narrowing it up just a little bit. So it's not quite as wide as it was. And you'll see why in a second. Because now I want, when the background vocal gets the same kind of treatment and comes in, I definitely want it to, you obviously are going to hear what goes to this. So let's take the background vocal. Since I already kind of know what's going to happen when I do this, I'm just going to send this. Copy that. And let's send both of those to the verbs. Now, I am going to do one thing with the verbs. I'm going to pan my verbs. So, because I know that I'm going to put background vocal 1 kind of out to the side on the left. I'm going to pan to the right on that one. And I'm going to pan to the left on the other one because it's going to go this way. So it's just going to help to, I went, 45 on that one? All right, so now we just need to get this in. Let's just hear what it's doing, and then we'll kind of balance it in real quick.
Just wanna talk to you, 'cause it loves you in a very kinky
Right now it's hit me.
Yes, it needs you,
It's hit me over the head, but that's okay.
yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do? Just wanna talk to you, 'cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you, and
All
you're
right.
gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do?
So again, this is an artsy kind of choice, and I may decide to unmake this choice later. But okay, we're an hour and 20 minutes into this. I'm gonna duck. Anytime I've got this double vocal thing, this background vocal thing, I'm gonna duck these guys. Get it off the grid, Brian. I'm gonna duck these guys. So I'm just gonna duck him 2.5 maybe. Let's see how that does. About 2.5. Let's just see if that does what I want.
You, 'cause it loves you in a very kinky way.
Yeah, that's pretty close. It's pretty close. So let's try 3. I don't want him to go away completely from the middle, but I definitely want to de-emphasize the middle and accentuate the sides a little bit.
You, 'cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you.
Cool. All right. So yeah. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to do that same move, and I may have to, depending on what happens with the breaths and stuff, I may have to kind of tailor this a little bit. But I'm going to do that same kind of thing everywhere that's happening. Like right here, there's a little bit of an overlap, so I have to be real careful about how and when I move it. Oh, come back. Because I don't want to hear it move in the middle of a word. So yeah, let's see what this does.
To you, 'cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay.
We definitely didn't do this.
What you gonna do? He's a regular guy.
And I'll leave it up for the last one.
To you, 'cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do?
This I'm going to duck
He's a regular
just so that it
guy.
blends with those guys a little bit more. Maybe just back it off like a
Mother's
dB,
point of view,
dB and a half.
likes it all just right.
Let's listen to it again.
'Cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price.
You notice the ADT is up really
What you
loud.
gonna do?
So I'm going to see what happens if I push this down.
He's a regular. 'Cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it
So I'm
needs
pull the
you,
ADT back, but push the dry up.
yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay.
Get the right blend on it.
He's a regular guy.
And the other thing I didn't do was
From his mother's point of view,
put the ADT in the verb too.
'cause it loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you.
Back it
and
off.
you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you, and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do? He's a regular guy.
Cool.
From his mother's point of view.
So now that we got all that in there, let's put it in grid and get that tool right there. And then, yeah, all we're going to do is just the measure before. Just going to copy those moves. Copy all those moves for that chorus. Copy that. And then we're going to go over here to this chorus. Dinner is ready. Hey, you see that on you see that on my live stream? Yeah. Cut and paste the end. I'm just going to cut and paste this just to the end, so that we get that same thing in the next one, and then the same thing. Now I will want to check the overlap right there. Cool. All right. Look. Yeah.
Loves you in a very kinky way. Yes, it needs you, and you're gonna have to play. Yes, it loves you,
Now.
and it's just the price you pay. What you gonna do? Ooh, yeah.
So now, all of this needs to come down. This is part of the automation part of it. All of this needs to come down in the end, and we're going to rebalance some things. And this is a good point to talk about. So I copied and pasted all of those moves into those choruses, but you can't just go, all right, I copy and pasted it, and it's like it should be. No, you can't do that. So we'll go back and listen to it, and we'll make sure that it balances right from section to section. If anything, I may make it a little less obvious the first time, and a little more obvious the second time, and even a little more obvious the next time, so that chorus by chorus by chorus, it always kind of builds. So maybe it's a little flatter, a little less obvious the first time. It's a little more demonstrative the second time, and then by the third time, it's very demonstrative. So it's not exactly the same every time.
You gonna do? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Lordy, Lord. Ooh, no. What you gonna do? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Lordy, Lord. Ooh, no. What you gonna do? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Lordy, Lord. Ooh, no. What you gonna do?
All right. So at this point, I'm happy with where that's sitting. I don't trust these headphones really. So a couple of things are going to happen. And this is definitely part of what something you need to do as you mix. We've been sitting here for almost an hour and a half mixing this stuff, right? It's time to take a break. Usually about once an hour, for about 10 minutes, I take a break and let my ears rest a little bit. But in this case, we're about an hour and a half in. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to go eat dinner. And that's going to let my ears rest. It's also going to erase a little bit of what I remember about what I've done. So maybe I'll come back on the live stream a little later and do this after dinner. Sort of the next step, if you don't see what happens next, is right after dinner on a set of fresh ears, I'll sit and listen, and I'm going to listen to it in the speakers so I can really tell what's going on here. I'll listen to this thing, at least the first verse and chorus, and I'll ask myself, did that do what I intended it to do? Right now, as we've been in the swell, thanks for hanging out with me, Carl. I really appreciate you, buddy. What I'll do is I'll listen to it on fresh ears. I've kind of forgotten what it sounds like a little bit, and I'll ask myself, did that do what you intended it to do? And if it did what I intended it to do, then awesome. We keep moving. And if anything, we go into each one of these sections where we've got some of this automation and make sure that the blend is right. Maybe because we didn't block and copy these choruses, I don't believe. I believe we re-sang every one of these choruses. So they're all slightly a little different. May need to do a little bit of tailoring on each of those. So once I know this effect worked, then I'll check the balance in those sections. I'll check the balance on the end, and then I'll make some automation moves to make sure that it all sits right. And again, if I'm going to feather it or do one of those things where the first time it happens, it's a little less obvious, it's a little less in your face. Second time, it's a little more obvious, a little more in your face. The last time, it's nice, loud and proud, super loud and proud. Then I'll do that move as well on fresh ears. So at this point, we're in a pretty good place with this so far. I definitely want to hear it in some speakers because I won't really trust any of the stuff that I just did hearing it in these headphones. Plus, these dang headphones are starting to get itchy. 90 minutes in, they're a little bit itchy. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with this mix at this point. Now, if you got any questions, make sure you put those in the flip over here a second. If you got any questions, put those into the comments. I'll come back afterwards and I'll answer them offline or not in real time. And keep an eye on things because 9 o'clock I may come back and finish this off tonight. If I don't finish it off tonight, we'll definitely finish it off tomorrow. But we're sitting pretty good. I feel pretty good about everything that we did at this point. If you haven't watched any of the past live streams, if you're on YouTube, they're just in the live stream tab. You'll see it's the last 4 live streams I've done where we started with the drums and worked all the way through to get to this point. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's nips and tucks, I think, at this point. It's just to make sure that everything is balanced the way it needs to be balanced. And maybe I've got a few little EQ moves to do once I actually hear it in the speakers. So, anyway, if you're wondering why it takes a half a day to mix something, or sometimes this track count's kind of low. If I've got something that's 85 to 100 tracks, people wonder, well, why is it going to take you an entire day to mix? Or why is it going to take you 2 days to mix something? I don't want to pay for 2 days. Well, if you've got 85 to 100 tracks, this is why. We're not just kind of setting some levels and we're just kind of panning things out. There's a lot of tone shaping, a lot of sculpting, a lot of thought that goes into a really, really good mix. And I know that you hear some of these guys that are the marquee mixers that are like, I pull the thing up and I just do my stuff, and if I don't have it in 3 passes, then I don't have the mix. I kind of call BS on that because if you're going to listen to a song 3 times, especially if you've got an entire console full of channels, and all you're doing is some things that you can do in 20 minutes, I don't really believe that. I don't know what else I want to say about that other than I don't believe those stories. I think those are fantasies that people tell you because they want you to think they're really, really good at something. To me, if I'm going to paint with sound, if I'm going to Bob Ross with sound, maybe that's what I'll call it. I'm going to make sure that what I intended to do is what I did. And in some cases, some of this stuff really requires that you go in and do some chiseling. Those little moves with the vocals. Now, could I have done that with a fader? Probably. Could have probably done it really fast, but I knew exactly how I wanted to do. pop it in with the mouse and put it exactly where you want it each time. Plus, that allows me to go back. If I've got a line or two that don't sit quite right, I can just make an adjustment with the mouse and put it exactly where it needs to go. I don't really believe that whole thing. If I don't get it in 3 passes, then I shouldn't be mixing the song or whatever the fable is that most of these guys tell you. Plus, for me at least, I don't use the exact same tools on every single mix. I don't use the exact same techniques on every single mix. That's one reason I don't use mix templates, because I'm not going to use the exact same routing every single time. I'm not going to use the same vocal reverb every single time. I'm not going to use the same guitar verbs or drum verbs. The song really tells me what it wants. And, based on what I'm hearing from the tracks that I'm sent, when somebody sends me something to mix something, I'm going to make very different choices from one song to the next. So, that's why it takes a half a day. That's why it takes an entire day. Sometimes with enough tracks, that's why it takes 2 days to mix a song, at least for me. Because there are a lot of very intentional choices that I want to make. And, so far, most of the choices I've made were the right choices on the first go. Sometimes I'll make a choice about something like reverbs, and I'm like, well, that sounds like crap. I think I'll try a different one. So there goes 10 minutes of my life, dialing in an EQ or dialing in a compressor or dialing in a verb or a delay or something. Then I'm like, it didn't do what I thought it would do. You got to allow yourself that time to try some things and see if something works, if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, what's the contingency? So anyway, that's it. We're an hour and a half into this. If you've stayed for most of this, I really appreciate you. I really, really do. Make sure, if you haven't already, I want you to make sure that you know that FaderJocksPro.com is up. And my first class that I put together specifically for this site, Mixing Masterclass number 1, Contemporary Country Song, is up. And if you'll use that promo code right there, Launch25, today's the last day. It will knock 25% off of that. You'll get over 4 hours worth of mixing instruction for under $30. I don't know how I can make it more affordable and more convenient for you. And we'll get time to hang out, and you'll get to see a lot of the things that I did for that mix that are different than what I did for this mix. So that's all I'm going to sell it. I really appreciate you hanging out, Carl and Lex and anybody else that hung out at all for the last hour and a half. If you were here for 2 minutes, I appreciate you. And I'm going to go grab some dinner. I'm going to get my head cleared out a little bit, get my ears a little bit rested, and get some food in me. I didn't eat since 10 o'clock this morning. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got for you at this moment. Until next time, which might be in an hour and a half or so, be awesome to yourself. Be extra awesome to everybody that you meet. And until the next stream that we do, I'll see you when I see you. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.